Now, people are gonna get the completely wrong idea of what I think about this. Hello, my weebs and gamers. My team make me a quick short list of some of the most prevalent anime tropes. This isn't a complete list of every anime trope, because God forbid there are so many. I look at this and I'm like, I can't really think of many others that are not just like genres or shit like that. Oh my God, he really had to pick some of these, didn't he? If you watch enough anime, you see some things that are prevalent in the anime medium. Some of them I never get bored of no matter how many times I see it. Sometimes I'm like, this is just anime being anime. And sometimes I'm just like, man, this makes me ashamed to be an anime fan. So I'm going to talk about some of my favorites and some of my most detested anime tropes and cliches that you can find in the genre. First thing, the tragic anime backstory. Now, I don't know if this, I guess this is kind of a trope, right? Has it been done so many times that it is a freaking trope now? This one is actually pretty fucking hard because tragic anime backstory covers an entire spectrum of different anime and different genres. I think the important thing about the tragic anime backstory, because when I hear about tragic anime backstory, here's the trope that I think of. There are two scenes. It's either the first scene is in the middle of a fight, and then you find out the tragic anime backstory, and that anime backstory leads to some kind of power-up. Character gets a power-up because they remember this tragic anime backstory, and then he defeats the villain because he remembers the powers of whatever happened in his backstory. And the other thing I think of with tragic anime backstories is motherfucking Demon Slayer. It's not the Demon Slayer trope, but my God, does Demon Slayer do this for fucking everyone, okay? Let me set the scene. The villain's about to die. We don't give a shit about the villain. Cut to tragic anime backstory. Oh now the villain got a bad backstory. It happens a lot, not just for villains, but one of the biggest death flags you can have in anime is if this character who has had no character development suddenly gets a shit ton of backstory and a shit ton of flashbacks and it's all sad. You fucking know they're gonna die, man. You fucking know they are going to die. I'm gonna put this right smack dab in the middle. I do not feel strongly for it or against it. It all depends on the execution. Moving on to Ara Ara. Yeah, there's I was trying to think. Here's the thing. Has the internet ruined Ara Ara now? You know what I mean? You know, it's no, it hasn't. It hasn't to me. If I hear it in anime, I'm still, yep, this one's a banger. Another thing that I think the internet has definitely ruined for me is the ahegao face. That shit used to be hot, and now I see enough TikTok girls doing that fucking face, enough cosplay girls, enough e-girls doing that face, and now I just fucking cringe, man. It was never hot, yo. You capping, man. You capping. But every time I hear an Ara Ara, whew, all right, still hits the same. Signature attack, or I guess like shouting your attack names, which is definitely very, very anime. Yeah, this is A tier. This is A tier. Here's the interesting thing. This only works because it's anime. You see a live action adaptation or you see any live action film, if they start shouting out attacks, that shit's fucking weird and that shit's fucking cringe. But for some reason, when you see someone shouting attack names in anime, that shit is hype. I'm gonna be a One Piece fanboy again. You can see the difference between the live action One Piece adaptation and the normal One Piece anime, where in the anime, it felt normal for everyone, no matter how serious or goofy that character was, to shout out their attack names. And bonus points if you're an OG One Piece fan who knows the hype of when a character shouts an attack name and that attack has its own particular font that goes with it. And then in the live action adaptation, it didn't work for some characters because it's fucking weird if you do it in live action. At worst, shouting attack names is just a bare bones basic, here's what every anime character does. At best, it brings so much fucking hype. Moving on to beach episodes. People saying S? People, God. Chat, you are too blinded by boobies, man. You are too blinded by boobs. I'm gonna put B. I think beach episodes kind of overused. They're fine. I'm never gonna complain about a beach episode, but to me, guys, I'm an onsen episode guy. Come on. Okay, look, guys. Beach episodes are fine. Wake me up when we get to the hot springs episode. That's the superior beach episode, man. Come on. Sometimes there's a place for it, but there have been some beach episodes that have completely put the plot on a standstill, and that's kind of pissed me off because I'm just like, yo, can we just get on with the plot, please? Unless you have something like Code Geass, where the beach episode is also technically the plot episode as well. That's the best kind of beach episode. Moving on to cat girls, monster girls, etc. D, did you make this list? I know you made this list, D. I know you put cat girls, D, but did you really want to put how cat are we talking here, D? I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm kind of over it. Cat girls specifically, I don't know what's so exciting about it. What gets added by this girl having cat ears, which is most of the time, that's the only commitment they have. They just have cat ears, and they meow for you. Nah, you know what? Monogatari? See, this is where we differ, right? I'm a Senjogahara guy, man. I'm a Senjogahara guy all the fucking way, man. Holo though, oh, you are right. Oh, but she's a fox. She's not a cat. Cat girls, monster girls, etc. Like, if it's just cat girls, I do not really understand the appeal of cat girls. Monster girls are cool in concept, but when you get to the point where you go to like Monster Musume and you're having fucking slime girls and you're having fucking spider girls and horse girls. All right, let's actually, maybe just bump it up a tier. I think what happened there was my logical brain went, this is really weird, and then some part of my lizard brain went, hold on for a second. Let him cook. Let him cook for a second. Moving on to explaining powers mid-battle. Ooh, people really don't like this. I'm really torn because it's either like you're either watching JoJo or Baki or Hunter x Hunter and it's like here, or you're watching everything else and it's like here. You know what I mean? One of the things I love about Jujutsu Kaisen is that, at least in the anime adaptation, it has a really good balance between explaining weird anime powers and letting the powers speak for themselves and letting the visuals speak for themselves. That's why I think some of the action in Jujutsu Kaisen just goes so hard, just because I don't really feel a point where the explaining the anime powers gets in the way of the action. Because my problem with this is not the concept of explaining anime powers, it's the concept of explaining powers that ruins the pace of a fight. One of the biggest marks of a good adaptation to me is when the anime chooses when to adapt the power explanations and when to let the visuals speak for themselves. Because I understand why this trope exists. This trope exists because action is fucking hard to portray on a still page, right? On a still page, you might need to walk them through exactly what's happening because sometimes it's just fucking hard. There are some exceptions which are S tier, but for the most part, it's a C tier. Moving on to fan service. Yeah, this is B. Chat is too horny. There is a time and a place for fan service. I fucking adore fan service. There are times where fan service does not belong in a show. Fire Force. Let's talk about the moments in Fire Force that were ruined because of fan service. This isn't me complaining about fan service. This is me complaining about when you are invested emotionally in a scene for a different reason, and then they throw in fan service. It's like using the ultimate technique, but using it wrong, so it backfires on you. When you have a show like fucking 100 Girlfriends, let's just, woo! I would say fan service should be treated like the forbidden technique. Moving on to filler episodes. Come on, this is, thank God, this needs to be a tier lower than D. This needs to be a tier lower than D. I am so glad that filler episodes are now dying out. I didn't understand the era that anime went through back in the Big Three Shonen, where companies felt this pressure to keep airing this anime weekly. I'm glad they realized that audiences have enough patience to wait for seasons of anime so that they can enjoy highly condensed, high quality episodes instead of just shitting out weekly episodes and padding it out with filler episodes and filler arcs. The only thing I will say is One Piece, please learn from that. I'm gonna be real. When I saw the Kakashi Mask episode and when I saw the other filler episodes before that, I didn't know what it was filler. But as soon as that happened, something just clicked in my mind and it just made so much sense about, oh, that's why sometimes it feels like episodes just are shit. A scene like Shikamaru's shogi match with his dad, which is technically, by the definition of filler, a filler moment because it's not in the manga, but it adds so much to his character that was not present in the manga, and it built on the foundation that the manga had, and it's one of my favorite anime only scenes in all of anime. Absent or dead parents. Meh. It's not the worst thing in the world, and I know why it exists. It's overused, to be honest. Okay, my biggest question is, yes, there are so many fucking anime with absent or dead parents. Do we want the parents there? Yes, it's unrealistic that every anime character has dead or absent parents. In general, even with someone like Kirito, for example, Kirito's parents are present. They do show up at the end of Alicization, but for the most time, they're absent. And to be fair, I don't think having a whole arc with his parents would have added any new dimension to Sword Art Online. A lot of the times, I think that they would just affect the pacing. The only times absent or dead parents are good is when it actually builds on the plot or the themes or helps with the character development of the show. It doesn't really add or anything to the show, but to be fair, doesn't really detract anything from the show either. All right, moving on to genre deconstruction. Is this even a trope? Can I add a new tier, which is just what is a deconstruction? It's hard to call this a trope, number one, because I don't think anyone really truly understands what a genre deconstruction is. One of the biggest trends that started in the video essay community is we would call X show deconstruction, and then we would have new video essays being like, actually X show isn't a deconstruction. It's now just a meme just to call everything a deconstruction. Calling something a deconstruction now is more a marketing strategy to be like, yo, this one, it's different. It kind of just became a meme. I'm actually going to omit this just because I don't know how this is a trope at all, unless it's just the fan base calling everything a genre deconstruction, in which case it would be C or D tier. So, moving on to the power of friendship. I'm gonna put it C tier. Power of friendship gets a bad rep, I think, because of Fairy Tail. There are two sides of this coin. Let me break this down for you guys. Call it the power of friendship, F tier, right? Call it having Nakama, S tier, right? Because we have One Piece. But are they not the same thing? It is definitely the anime trope where working together, the power of friendship prevails. But I do think that there is some kind, it's not completely down here like F tier. Are we counting like comrades and bonds in the power of friendship, guys? Are we just going to discount Gurren Lagann and how hype that was? Or the fucking bonds of friendship that my crew in JoJo went through? I think it's cringe if it solely relies on just the power of friendship prevailing through everything. But having a strong bond with your fellow comrades and your fellow comrades around you and wanting to become stronger because of that, I think that's good. I think that's fucking goated, and I think that can bring some really, really hype moments. I think this is C tier. Moving on to harems. All right, I'm just gonna be degenerate for some reason. Can harems ruin a show? Here's an important question, okay? Because I think there are two types of people. I think this is the latest example of this shit, right? Oshinoko. This was one of the highest rated shows, of last year. And the people I've talked to have had two kinds of opinions about Oshinoko. They had the point where they were invested because of the murder mystery aspect, and then they kind of introduced the whole best girl aspect to it, where it suddenly just became, oh, who likes the main characters more? Is it this girl? Is it that girl? A lot of people didn't like it. I didn't happen to be one of those people. I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. I can see why it's not for everyone, but I'm not gonna complain. I actually don't mind this trope too much. Let me tell you why harems is in S tier for me. To some, it may ruin, or to some, it may detract from the point of the series, or it may detract from another point of the series. To me, I see harem, and I'm like, ooh, I sense a bit of spice in the story coming up. Ooh, it's not for everyone, but I'm just gonna fully embrace the fucking trash man that I am. I can't think of a single place where a harem has actively ruined a show for me. If you watch a harem anime, you're not watching a romance anime, you're watching a sports anime. That's what I like about harems, man. It turns the anime into a sport. Now, people are gonna get the completely wrong idea of what I think about this. Let me think about this for a second. Yes, I said it, okay? And while we're here, let's just put this here as well. People think because of some kind of shows that I like that, oh, God must think it's fucking here or something, right? God must think it's fucking here. No, people misunderstand why I enjoy the shows that I enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy it when there's a little bit of spice added, when there's a little bit of a taboo, a little bit of spice, a little bit of danger in there. Most of the time, you see this shit and you see this shit, and it's the most fucking basic. Oh, Oni-san. Oh, Oni-chan. Oh, I'm a good little sister. Oh, Oni-chan. Oh. And I'm like, that's just fucking, that's the cringe, man. That is the cringe. Maybe I just hate little sisters, man. Okay, actually, hold on a second. I'm thinking about this. Maybe if it's an Oni-san, I'm more okay with it. Hold on a second. Hold on. Wait. Totally me being a single child moment. I do feel like most of the sisters in anime are little sisters. I feel like the balance is skewed. I feel like there are way more Emotos than there are One-sans. And this, conflated with this, most of the time, it's just the most bare bones, basic ass, here's your doujinshi bait character right here. And I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for. This does not sell me on the show. In fact, this makes it even worse for me. Kirino? I should rewatch Orimo to see if my opinion's changed. Not another isekai. This is a good B tier. This is a good B tier for me. If I put it here, I think I would just be lying to myself. It's right in the middle. Of course, I'm the isekai trash man, but even as someone who defends isekai to the death, I don't think I can put it any higher than B tier. It's not really a trope. It's more of like just a genre at this point. Okay, time for the next one. The 1,000-year-old lolly one. I'm gonna be real, guys. This is D tier for me, man. I know it's a trope, and I'm not on the camp of some takes you would see on Twitter, but fucking why? Why do we want this? Why do we want this? Let's take one of the most famous ones, for example, Shinobu. Are you going to say to me, unironically, that the child Shinobu is superior to the fucking One-san or MILF Shinobu? Absolutely not. Yes, she is. No, you are so wrong. What really has confused me recently is just because in recent times, just because now there's a really old anime character, if there's just a really old anime character, people just assume it's a 1,000-year-old like lolly trope. I see this with Freeren now, where Freeren's like, she's the fucking trope, and I'm like, is she? I don't know if my eyes are fucking different, but she just looks like a normal person. Obviously, she has the personality of an old woman, but even on an aesthetic level, to me, she doesn't look any differently than most other standard anime characters at all. She's just like a little short, right? I don't even know if she's short. The problem with this trope a lot of the time is that, you know, I look at someone like Beatrice and I'm like, I just need to protect this person. I need to give this person a hug. The problem is, a lot of times they're not made for that purpose, which leads on to our next one. The other worst trope of anime is just, why is this a character trope, man? Why is this a character trope? What does this add to your series? Jiraiya sensei? Oh, don't say that. No, not my Jiraiya. The pervert thing with Sanji, I never thought was particularly funny, you know? There are some jokes with One Piece that I just thought, this is a bit lazy. To me, being a pervert, adding a pervert thing as a joke is at best kind of eye-rolling, at worst is fucking Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins, and actively makes me dislike you. The only place I think it works is because it's a core part of the character, which is fucking Rudius, and that's because you're not fucking meant to like Rudius. Mineta as well, holy shit, you're so fucking right. Oh, I hate Mineta so much. Moving on to power-ups. Is there a non-hype power-up scene? Nah, this is Esther. I was trying to think if there is any point that a power-up detracts from a show. I don't think there is. I don't think there is. At best, we get something fucking legendary that permeates popular culture. Like, actually, you're right. This is A tier. This is A tier. I had to think about it for a second. Unfortunately, even though there are some very hype scenes, there are some ass pulls as well. There have been times where I've seen a power-up and I'm like, oh, this is a bit coming out of nowhere, isn't it? But I will say that the arse pull scenes feel like they are less prevalent than the actual hype power-ups. For like 90% of anime power-ups, this is the scene that the entire anime has been building towards. This is the scene that you're going to be rewatching, and most of the time, it is absolutely fucking hype. It's one of the things that anime is best known for. You get an A tier. Student Council. I am indifferent towards this one. I don't really have much to say about it. I'm kind of indifferent. I don't have a feeling one way or another. When I see a Student Council, I'm not exactly like, fuck this show. But when I see a Students Council, I'm also not like, fuck yes, let's go. I really don't have much to say about this. It's fine. That's fine. Same with the Deres as well. Actually, I'm gonna put this down. At the end of the day, I'm talking about all of the Deres, right? What I want is not a tsundere. What I want is a well-realized, well-written character first that might have tsundere traits or might have other traits. For example, if there's a character that is just a dere, then a lot of the times they are just a one-dimensional character trope that is really lazy. That is not to say that obviously I don't like tsunderes and everything like that, but if there is just a bare bones basic tsundere that has no more depth than just the classic tsundere traits, I'm out. I feel like anime writers and anime artists and writers should always put the character first. Here's the thing, they should have an identity above that and then have like traits being like, oh, this person reminds me of a tsundere. There should be an absolute exact reason why they are acting the way they do. All right, moving on. Generic protagonist. I feel like this is not doing it any justice because it says generic in it. So I'm trying to think if there's any counter argument for it to not be D tier. I'm like, I got nothing, guys. If it's generic protagonist, then yeah, with the word generic, it's always going to be in D tier. What I was thinking was self-insert protagonist, and I'm thinking, is a self-insert protagonist bad? Well, I'm gonna add a little spice. I'm gonna change generic protagonist to self-insert protagonist. I'm gonna bring it up one. We were all 14 at one point. There was one point in our life when we were kids, we were innocent, and we just wanted to dream, man. We just wanted the fantasy, man. Are you going to crush a kid's dream just because they want to self-insert themselves into some, what we perceive as some cringy situation now? No! If he can't hope to get a bunch of girls, then what hope does he have? All right, that's the best I can come up with. So let me ask you, as the edgy 14-year-old, do you think you were any more interesting of a person? Can we really say that we weren't maybe the bland protagonists ourselves at one point, guys, okay? Maybe there's a reason they exist. I liked Lufina. I discovered Lufina when I could get no bitches. This is for the 14-year-olds out there. Moving on. Tournament arcs. Yeah, now we're talking. I will not accept anything else. You can be having the most dog anime of all time. You can have an anime that's completely fallen off. You put a tournament arc in it, and I am completely interested again. Is it used a lot? Yes. Is every tournament arc built the same? No. But sometimes you just have a formula that works. Okay, you can have other series that do some things differently, but it's just such an easy way to, number one, build up. It's just such an easy way to introduce a huge ensemble of new characters, and such an easy way to build up compelling narratives with rivals, with friendship, with a lot of different bonds that you can build up. And it's just a fucking easy way to bring the hype. The Fang. Okay, here's an important question, guys. Here's an important question. Are we doing the meat Fang or just the little Fang? I don't know. I kind of dig it. I don't know why it makes such a difference, but it's so weird, right? You have like this anime girl smiling, and it's like, all right, that's all right. You had a little Fang, and you're like, yo, that's adorable as fuck, man. Suddenly, this is my aesthetic. I mean, Astolfo just ruined an entire generation of boys with his flesh Fang. And only his flesh Fang, right? You skin Fang? No, fuck you. The skin Fang is great, man. All right, high school. I mean, there have been good high school animes, but I roll my eye most times I see it. It's not completely D tier, but my God, can we have more settings, please, than just high school? I would love to have more settings than just high school. I kind of dig it. A lot of the times it depends, but this is something that I think works well because it's anime. Something similar to signature attacks. It kind of breaks the convention of storytelling a lot of times, where it's like, oh, you need to show, not tell. And sometimes I'm just like, maybe you should tell me and not show me. I'm a dumb baby. You can have moments where it just brings a new dimension to the scene that's going on, especially with something like Death Note and Code Geass. It's only at A tier and not S tier because there are some moments where I'm looking at you, sports anime. There are some moments where I think, okay, this is way too overdone. I am watching someone shoot a basketball, and this is taking 20 minutes because of what's happening to see this guy shoot a basketball. No one thinks that fast. But when we are just doing mind games, it's kind of hype, man. All right, moving on. Nosebleeds, same as perverts. I don't understand how this trope started. I don't get it. I never got it as a kid. I remember the first scene in Naruto, or the first episode of Naruto had a nosebleed. That was my first exposure to it. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then everyone started to do it. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. That is, nosebleeds are just the PG-13 way to say someone is bricked up. And as soon as you realize that, you're like, wow, that's weird. All right, moving on. Overpowered main character is beta. Really much depends on the execution. Really depends on the execution. For every Sid Kagano, there is 10 million generic overpowered isekai protagonists that do not deserve the title or the powers that they have. Imagine a Gojo show. Well, Gojo luckily isn't the protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen, or I mean, the fan base certainly thinks he is. So this one goes right in the middle for me. Moving on, running with toast in mouth. It's weird because running in toast with mouth, I feel like it's kind of fallen off. When was the last time you saw it? Dead trope. It's a dead trope. It had its charm. It's not completely D tier. Actually, I'm going to put it B tier. I have no feelings about it. I see an anime girl running with toast. I'm like, whatever. I think it's pretty pointless now because I've realized that they have stopped using it. If I see an anime girl running with toast, I will get nostalgic again. I'd be like, yo, they did the thing, man. Bring it back. Actually, bring it back. Hero/villain team up. Oh, boy. Let me tell you, I don't fucking care. You know it's hype, man. This villain could have been the most detestable piece of shit of all time. He could have committed war crimes for all I care. You team up with the hero, you're like, hell yeah, man. It's just, I don't know why. There are some tropes where my little brain goes, oh, I like this. I'm interested. This is hype. This is cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, It's something that definitely could not exist. It's logic like this that could not exist in the real world, but in the fictional world of anime, if you team up with the villain, for some reason, your brain is just like, I forgive everything you've done beforehand. Who did you kill? I've forgotten. What did you do? I've forgotten. Let's just enjoy these two unlikely duo just teaming up. Okay, now we're getting into the real shit. This time skip, I honestly think time skips out of everything, this is the best. This not everything else has been in order, but I will say I fucking love time skips, man. Time skips, I think, is my favorite narrative trope that you can find in anime, and maybe just in general. Okay, here's what I love about time skips, right? Here's what I love about time skips. There's like the mystery aspect to time skips. The first few episodes or the first few chapters after a time skip, you are just so fucking excited about. It's like coming to a high school reunion again and just seeing what everyone's been up to and just catching up with everyone and seeing the type of adults that people turn into. That is some of the most excitement I get when you start a new arc. In the case of a shonen, number one, you're like, yo, how many new attacks do you know? How much did you power up? Are you like on the power scaling part of things? Are you A tier? Are you S tier? Even beyond shonen as well. The other time skip I remember, the Attack on Titan time skip as well. Gee, like going from like season 3 to season 4, and then everything changed and it was a completely different genre of show, bro. Like at worst, a time skip will get people talking about your series again, like Boruto. At best, it is some of the most interesting shit. You can completely change fucking genre like you did with Attack on Titan. Yeah, time skips are goated. Training arcs, it's A tier. It's not as hype as the tournament arc and the time skip, but it is nice just to know that you're about to get progression. People are like, just skip it. Nah, you need the training arc. Okay, here's the ultimate combo. Do you know why it's A tier? Because training arcs go hand in hand with either tournament arc or a time skip. It's the build up, knowing you are going into a tournament arc or a time skip arc, okay? That's why it works so well. Training arcs don't hit as hard if it's just a training arc that doesn't lead into like either of these ones, to be fair. Like, I think the one that affected me the least was probably the Deku training arc. Like, he learned kind of like full cowling back then, and that was the one that I was just like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. All right, moving on to transformation sequences. It's very much execution dependent. Like, sometimes they can get tiring and get old really quick, but if used in the right way, they can bring the hype, baby. Because especially in some older anime, it got boring very, very, very quickly. That was it for my favorite tropes in anime. This is a very weird list, but it is my list. You probably disagree with this list. But that was my list, guys. If you agree, if you disagree, please comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm streaming this live on Twitch. You can catch me on twitch.tv/Giguk. But anyway, that's been it from me. I've been Giguk, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.